Hi guys, my name is Marin, and today I'm going to be talking about B.F. Skinner. Burst Frederick Skinner, mainly known as B.F. Skinner, was born March 20th, 1904. He was raised by his stay-at-home mom and lawyer father, along with his younger brother. From a young age, he loved to build and invent different gadgets and mechanisms, which is where his spark of interest for research and experimenting came from. After he graduated high school, he attended Hamilton College. There, he discovered his passion for writing. He even attempted to become a professional writer, but unfortunately, that didn't work out. So, a couple years later, he found a new path of life and enrolled at Harvard University. There, he began to study psychology and began his research and experiments as well. While at Harvard, he eventually developed what would be known as the Skinner box. And the Skinner box was used to study the way that an animal interacted with its environment. So for these experiments, he started out using rats and eventually moved on to using pigeons. So with the pigeons, they had to learn to peck at a disc, which would allow them to access to receiving food. So basically, he was training them to feed themselves by learning that behavior. Skinner ultimately discovered that reinforcement was important in learning new behaviors, so basically repeating and repeating until it's instilled in your brain. He eventually received his doctorate degree at Harvard, and he moved on to teach at the University of Minnesota. While there, Skinner actually trained pigeons to serve as guides for bombing runs during World War II, but unfortunately it didn't work out and the project got canceled. But B.F. Skinner actually trained pigeons to play ping pong, which I think is pretty cool. Skinner got married and had two daughters named Deborah and Julie. And for his second daughter, Julie, he built a special crib for her when she was born, and it was called the baby tender. So the baby tender was basically a bed that was heated, which took away the need for blankets, and there were no slates on the sides, which reduced the chance of injury to the baby. In 1945, he became the chair of the psychology department at Indiana University. But 2 years later, he returned to Harvard and he began putting his life and research into autobiographies. He also remained strongly active in the field of behavioral psychology, which is a field that he actually helped become very popular during that time. In 1989, Skinner was diagnosed with leukemia and passed away at his home in Massachusetts on August 18th, 1990. I think that Skinner's biggest contribution would definitely have to be operant conditioning and placing such a big emphasis on reinforcement and the importance of having negative or positive reinforcers. So positive reinforcement is basically promoting behavior by giving the individual a consequence that is rewarding to them, whereas negative reinforcement is promoting behavior by removing an unpleasant experience. So for example, if a mother wanted her child to do their homework, she would instill either a positive or a negative. So for the positive, she would offer the child, $5 or an ice cream for every assignment that they did. Or on the flip side, she could do negative, where she could, take away a toy or make the kid pay them $5 for each homework assignment that they didn't do. So I've seen both of these methods done, and I think they're both equally as effective. I think we can definitely see these in any classroom. Teachers tend to modify behavior by giving good or bad consequences, giving candy for good behavior, timeouts for bad behavior. They both work just as well. My mom actually owns a home daycare, and so I've seen a lot of different methods of how these are both done. But one that came to my mind was at our daycare, whenever another child hits another child, they're removed from playing and they have to hit the wall outside for 5 minutes. This actually is really effective with the kids, and their hitting behavior is definitely over after that because they just know that, before they hit a kid, they know that if they do, they're going to have to go outside and hit the wall, and so they don't want to do that. So hitting doesn't really happen that much here, but I know that for myself, that there are definitely parts of my personality that I can tell have been trained, and I know I've been doing them for years, and there's certain behaviors that I've just been doing for a long time, and I know that I've been trained since a young age to do them. Although not many people favored many of Skinner's theories, he definitely put a lot of hard work into his research, and he taught us that behavior can be trained and can be learned if the environment is willing it to. So that's all I have for you guys, but thanks for watching and have a great weekend.